Hey, what's up, world? It's the Afro Punk Trish Adora, and you're here at Three Count Podcast.
I'm in fashion, roll with cold passion.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. That's right. And by the 150th episode, I would think that by now you would call me a Sherpa. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why it's never about me, but it's about who's entering the ring. And who's entering the ring today? You can find this person at Mission Pro Wrestling, GCW, Progress, Beyond, CZW, Limitless, Glory, West Coast Pro, ROH, Invictus, AEW, GSW, and WWE. She is the number one wrestler in the indie world. She is the number one requested guest on this show. She is the Pan-African World Diaspora Champion, and she is the Afro Punk Trish Adora.
Oh my gosh. That's so nice. That was like such a nice intro. I appreciate that.
Hey, I'm available for road trips. I will be gladly to be somebody's personal announcer whenever they need me.
That okay, look, we can sign that up for sure. It's like I almost forget how many places I go, and then you like rattling them off. I'm like, yeah, rep your set.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yo, so one, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For
so
sure.
it's 100% a shoot when I say like you are our number one requested guest. Like I've had so many people come through and just tell me like, dude, you gotta get Trish Adora. I'm like, I know, cause she's so awesome.
That's so nice.
I was actually talking to a couple of friends today, and I was talking about how you were coming on the show, and they and you know they're not wrestling fans. So when I
Mhm.
showed them like just you just on YouTube and like all the stuff that you've done, they're like, oh, because a bunch of my friends, they're just like they're not in tune with it, but they saw you and they're like, dang, she's so cool. I was like, I know.
Aw,
So
well, that's really nice. Well, I'm glad to finally come on. I know it's kind of, I don't know, I don't do too many podcasts too often anymore. So I try to make time when I can. So happy to do that for sure.
yeah, I appreciate it. So listen, for those who don't know who you are, because they must be living under a rock, I just need you to tell people who is Trish Adora.
I am an independent wrestler, first and foremost. I was trained at Team 3D under Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley. I've trained at a lot of places. I trained at Worldwide Dojo under world famous CB and Sumi Sakai. I've trained under the Ring of Honor Dojo under Jonathan Gresham. So lots of hands in the pot. So it definitely ends up being definitely a more layered persona maybe than what people are used to.
I love it because like if there's something that I've learned is that you don't only want to be trained at one place. Like you want to go kind of like let everybody sounds weird to say it like this, but everybody put their spoon like in the chili and just kind of
Yeah.
like add their little ingredients to you. Because I hear it all the time where people are like um taking all the advice that you get, but then like just stick with the stuff that really kind of like meshes with you. And I,
Hmm.
I genuinely I love hearing when people tell me they're like, yeah, I've trained here, trained there, been with that person. I'm like, dude, can I pick your brain?
Yeah. It's fun just getting different perspectives. You know, there's no one right answer in wrestling too. So it's important to like have like different feedback from different styles, different types of people. I think that's pretty important. So I enjoy training. Training is one of my favorite parts of being a wrestler, funny enough.
I like training. I love when someone has to when I get a new perspective from something. It's because it's weird. I hear about it a lot. Like a lot of people are like, I don't take criticism well. I'm like, well, then you're in the wrong world to say that because you should want to take that criticism to be better because it's iron sharpens iron. That's what they tell people.
Very true. Very, very true.
So how did you get into the sport?
I watched wrestling when I was younger. Um, it was like a bonding experience with like me and my family. Uh, it was kind of like just a TV show that we watched, just like other TV shows that we watched. So it was kind of easy to get caught up in everything, but I definitely felt like I was watching something for other people. I don't know. I describe it as that. It's like, wow, look at this TV show we're watching. What are they going to do now? And then, we channel surf on Monday and Thursday night. So definitely ping pong during the Monday Night Wars. So there's a lot of wrestling intake growing up.
Bet. No, it's kind of cool because I know like I did that. I did the same thing with my family too. Like we were always looking for like something new to like check out. And my parents weren't really big into wrestling, so like I used to go over and hang out with my aunt, and we used to watch wrestling like every Saturday morning, every Monday night, and
Nice.
every Friday. And then Thursday night Thunder came along, and I was definitely like
Yeah.
hooked on wrestling every day.
I was going to say, there was something on every day, right?
It seemed like
Like,
it. It felt that way, and I enjoyed it. I was like, besides the Monday Night Wars, like Thursday Thunder, and then you had SmackDown, with The
mhm.
Rock finally leading it through, and then Saturday main event, and then Velocity or
Sunday, I was
Heat.
going to say, Velocity.
I feel like not a lot of people would like get that. Like there was a show called Velocity. I'm like, yeah, actually there
Yeah.
was.
And it was awesome, okay?
It was awesome, and then even like Sunday Night Heat, the one time that Triple H like didn't want to wrestle on a pay per view, so they just gave him the main event at Sunday Night Heat and let him wrestle there. It was like, okay, this is cool.
Look,
So I gotta ask though, because you've been in the game for a little bit, and I'm sure you have one of these stories. But what's the worst bump you've taken?
um, it's a good question. I'm trying to think. I try to be smart about the things that I do. I'm trying to think of what really, really sucked. You know, I never got my kickback, but Wheeler Yuta kicked me in the face really hard. And I got to get my kickback. I see him sometimes and I'm like, hey, and he's like, hey, I kicked you in the face that one time. And I was like, I'm getting it back. Don't worry about it. I'm getting it back.
Like, I
Shoot, I
don't
might
care
pull up
how
on
high
him
on
at
the card.
AEW.
Yeah, it's like I don't care how high on the card you get on AEW. That receipt is
Look,
coming.
I was going to say, I owe him something for real. He kicked me hard as hell. I was like, what the hell?
Yo, you had to, yeah, at least had to lay in a strike on him, right? Like you
Well,
actually got him
no,
in.
we definitely we got after it for sure. But
Mm.
I didn't forget that. It was a drop kick off the top rope. He got me like all in the face.
It's funny because that happens with me and like one of my best friends, right? Like whenever he he gets upset with me, like he's like, "I'm just gonna smack you in the face, like really hard," and I'm like, "All right, whatever." And so, crazy enough, past Saturday, I whiffed on a punch, and yeah, he socked the shit out of me, and I was like, "All right, I guess we know where we're going now." And
Yeah,
so,
right.
yeah. But I find it funny because like this is like the only place where we legit tell each other like if you can't hit your friends hard, who can you hit? And then you go out there and do it.
Very true.
So I'm curious, like what kind of post match snack, post match meal do you have like after a show?
Um, I definitely drink lots of orange Gatorade. That's like a personal favorite of mine. Post match, I'm usually looking to like get something ridiculous like some pizza or like tacos or something like that. I'm usually looking to kind of go in because I was definitely keeping it nice and chill. I eat pretty well, I'd probably say. And post match I definitely go straight for like the pizza or just something to kind of carb overload and just eat my feelings a little bit. Just kind of celebrating the victory somewhat.
Yeah, because it was interesting when I got to meet you at Fight. You had just won against Big Swole, so you had like this massive match, and my daughter like instantly fell in love and was like, "Who's that?" I was like, "Well, that's Trish," and she's like, "Oh," and then we definitely got to meet up, and she got that beautiful picture with you, and I was just, I saw like the excitement that you had because you were just like, I'm just, and I was in the same way because I was just there helping. I was like, I just want to get some food, but you could definitely, you have like that hypeness that you're like, whatever's gonna come, I'm just gonna take this and devour it.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I'm just ready, especially like when it's there's a lot of like stress involved with sometimes putting together like and then just like the whole show trying to get everything situated. it becomes a lot. And food feels like a light at the end of the tunnel sometimes. You're like, wait, I haven't eaten since like 11 a.m. You look around, it's like 9 p.m. and like it's like a taco truck outside or like a sandwich spot, and it's just like, yes.
Well, it's funny because you talk about like nerves, right? Because I suffer from high anxiety, I'm just high anxiety, and I'm high functioning, and so to help calm me down, like before shows, like the first thing I do is like I grab a handful of gummy bears. Doesn't matter what kind, just any kind of gummy bears, and I just sit there and I'll just start eating them, and just like it just takes me out of mindset of being nervous. So I like that's like
Yeah.
my pregame ritual now.
Yeah. That's cool. I like
It's
the Albanese ones.
Yeah, so and people's ask me, they're like, "Is there different ones that give you?" No, I'm like, "No, no, no, just gummy bears in general." But the
Hmm.
Albany ones are always like they're really nice. But I'm like, I
They're
was
like
like,
the bougie gummies.
yeah, I was like, they're a little too fancy for me because I'm just like, yo, let me get that gold packet and let me just rock this.
Get that Haribo real quick.
Right. It's funny because like one of my friends, like anytime that he sees me at a show, he's like, dude, just open your backpack because they know they're in there. I'm like, no, it wouldn't. He's like, I come on, Cliff, just give me the gummy
Yeah.
bears because they all know I have them. So I'm curious though, right? Because you are like, I'll just keep it 100. You're 100% royalty, like in
Aw,
this in this world of
that's
wrestling,
nice.
and like so as like a woman in like such a dominant position, especially a woman of color in this dominant position, what does that like title mean to you to kind of be like the light that everybody tries to chase after?
Oh, well, that's really nice. I appreciate you saying that. It's definitely an interesting journey for me, personally. Just trying to deal with like a lot of things, um, and trying to make sure that wrestling is like a piece of this puzzle. And I'm trying to make sure that everything can contribute positively to everything else. So I'm doing my best to make sure that I take every opportunity that I get, as serious as I can. I just want to make sure that I'm always representing myself well, my family, my city where I was trained and stuff. I just want to make sure that I'm always representing that well and just staying true to myself. So long as I'm doing that, that's usually the right answer. So I feel like I'm just kind of at a nice pace. I got a nice flow going with my career, and I'm very, very happy to be in the position that I'm in. It wasn't an accident. I can finally like agree now. I've been fighting imposter syndrome for a while, and I've been telling myself like, oh, maybe it was this happy accident, and it just wasn't. It wasn't an accident. You know what I mean? And it's not going to be an accident going forward. So that's how serious I take this. So.
Well, like you had like one of like, and it was like a, I'll be honest, it was like one of my favorite moments and just like wrestling period, right? And it was right after the Ring of Honor, you had just lost, right? And you were sitting in the back, you were down, and you were like in tears, right? And Shane Taylor came to you, and he was like, "Queens don't cry," and like it rang so loud to me, and I was like, dude, just and I thought about it in a personal sense, like just like people like soldiers and warriors don't just stay down. They just get up and keep moving forward. But seeing that moment between you two, like I was like, that's what true mentorship looks like. And I know it was a segment, but I was like, that is what true mentorship looks like. That's those people who come to you when you're down and like I don't want to say force your chin back up, but they pretty much just pick your chin up for you and just tell you like, hey, we got to keep moving this bar over. And I was like, this is such an awesome moment to watch.
Yeah, I try to hone in on a lot of those moments too. I think that it's important to kind of have a community of people around you that you can trust and lean on. That's so important, because what are you doing without it? You're just doing some really difficult thing all by yourself, and you don't have to. So I feel really grateful to have people, like Suge D, and Darius Lockhart in my corner. Just people that want to pour into me the way I pour into them. You know, um, it's just a really, really, I don't know, it's a really, really good feeling, and I feel more comfortable being able to perform that way. And so I really ended up enjoying my time with Ring of Honor actually because of that.
So I'm curious, like, what's been one of the hardest lessons that you've had to learn as you've kind of like made your way through the business?
A hard lesson for me, there's lots of them, but honestly, that I just have to believe myself first. You know, it's there's just a lot of times where and this gets complicated, I guess. It gets complicated. Let me make it, I guess, as simple as I can. But I think that the best way to make it out alive, so to speak, is to understand that nobody really makes it out alive. Um, I think having a healthy dose of reality in every situation that I'm in, especially in wrestling, because it can be very fickle, and things can change all the time. You know, your enemies aren't your enemies anymore one day, maybe, or maybe your friends aren't your friends anymore one day, maybe. And so I think that in order to make sure that I'm not getting too caught up in this great big world, it can sweep you up sometimes. I think I've learned to keep a healthy separation um, between myself, my personal life, work, and wrestling. I try to keep those things very separate, especially being in the public eye. That's kind of a part nobody's preparing you for. Like the wrestling stuff is one thing, but after a while, you're kind of in the public eye when you're on TV a couple of times and stuff. And you're at like a lot of like high profile shows and your online following is really high. And people like recognize you like out on the street and stuff. And it's just like, that's a whole other thing you're signing up for. And if you're not like, I'm not extroverted. I'm pretty introverted. You know what I mean? So when you're not that person, you need almost an extra layer of training in a sense to kind of deal with all these things. So just learning to keep a healthy separation. It's been a hard lesson, but and one I gotta hit my head over and over a little bit, but I think I'm starting to like I finally accepted it, I think.
I feel like that was like something I learned from Brutal Bob Evans, like asking him, and he said the same thing. He was like everything has to have its place, like just in life, right? Whether it's wrestling or your family or a job or friends, everything has to have its place, and it's about kind of trying to keep that order. And like yourself and my, we're veterans, right, of armed forces, and so coming across with that, like you're trying to always make sure you're keeping that in line, but sometimes it does get hard, it gets blurry. And I think about that a lot too, where it's like, how do I how do I make sure I keep myself grounded? And like fortunately for me, I think the biggest thing is I have my daughter who I can just kind of look at and know like I have to keep a good example for her, because if I start to get a little big headed or swole a little bit in the head, she'll be the one to come through and pop it. And she's done it on more than one occasion for me. So I guess there's where my person for me is, that she's always here to just to make sure to take that pin to me and let me know like, hey, you're not that guy yet.
Yeah.
But what kind of advice would you give to like up and coming wrestlers?
Um to train and to train at lots of places, you know. I think that there's a lot of different styles of trainings at, different wrestling schools. I think it would be very smart for anybody, to definitely learn at different places. Um, there's so many things that I'd have just never learned had I still, you know, been playing in the yard at Team 3D. Eventually I got to get on the bus and go across town and maybe learn some other things or add to that bag of those good fundamentals that I already had. Um, so I think that that's been one of the things that's allowed me to have as much freedom, I think, and as much, yeah, I'd say freedom, as much freedom, being able to know that like I can go train anywhere and there's always somewhere I can go to like just sort of reconnect. I kind of use that as like networking almost, with seminars and things like that. I think that's really important. And I don't know, I just always think that that's important, training and seminars and just learning at more than one place.
No, I like that. I like that idea, and I kind of feel like that's why I came up with the podcast, was just so I could go out and pick the brain of like other other wrestlers to help me,
Mhm.
because it's like, although like it's funny, I say it all the time, and I think I've said it on the show a few times, but like I kind of gave myself like this 10-year window that's like, hey man, like you're not a spring chicken. You're definitely on the older side, and you gotta reach out and network and connect and talk and learn from as many people as you can. Because you know, when I turn 45, it's gonna be like, all right, man. Like, either can try to do this, or you can shift avenues and go down a different path.
Yeah.
So my last question for you before we jump into the second best segment is: you've been around East Coast, West Coast, around the world. Let's just be honest. So I do need one do and one don't of the locker room.
Ah. Oof. Um, a do of the locker room. Hmm. Respect people's personal property and personal space. I know things are pretty cramped, and the culture is you can kind of change anywhere, so to speak, and you can kind of just, and I guess you can. I've changed anywhere. I've been the only female on a card a lot, so there have been times where I've had to like just you know crouch and just change, and I think that's kind of lost as sometimes, maybe not always, but generally speaking, that can be kind of lost. So I think the idea of respecting people's space, giving, taking turns and being respectful, even with the little space that we have, just of people's like comfort levels and things like that. So, um, was that a do or a don't?
That is definitely a do. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
I was like,
I would
don't
hate
be
to be that
weird.
person
Okay,
that's like,
good.
yeah, don't do that. Don't respect people's place. Like, no, not at all.
It's like, I was thinking, was that a message of don't be weird or was that a message of do respect space? No, but
Now that you say that, that definitely could be both. Like, yeah, don't
yeah,
be weird. Don't be weird.
don't be weird and do respect people's space. No, but I guess a big don't. I like I'd like to think that the locker room is pretty sacred. It's meant for the people that are there to change, given the fact that we have such limited space, and it's almost always such limited space. Very rarely do you just have like an abundance of space where people can just lay out. Not often. So I think the amount of people that just aren't supposed to be in the locker room. You know, um, if you pay a, to buy a ticket, then there's a spot for you, and it's we got seats, maybe a standing room only this time, and balconies and all that stuff. Lots of cool things. It's just not in the locker room, and there's just just a little separation is very healthy. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, and I wouldn't exactly call it gatekeeping, so long as you're not rude about it. But I think there's always a way to say something and a way to kind of come across as respectful as possible. So that's always the right answer. So.
Yeah. It's something I remember. Like, I was just at a show, and it was the first time my dad and my stepmom actually had came and watched me wrestle, and it was cool. And
Yeah.
I definitely told them, though, I was like, "You guys gotta stay out here. Like, you guys can't go in the locker room. Sorry." And they understood. They were like, "No, we definitely, yeah, it's fine. Go do your thing, and we'll be here. We'll be here for you after you get done with your match." And I was like, "All right, cool." And then I just came out and hung out with them afterwards.
Yeah.
So if I can do it to my family, y'all can do it to your family and friends too. Okay, they don't need to be in the locker room.
Okay.
So that is all my heavy hitting questions. But Trish, we do have to get into the second best segment of the Three Count podcast. You're probably wondering what's the first. It's the Red Dogs Power Rankings you can find every Sunday on our debate show. But this is the Three Count podcast 10 count questions, and this is how it's going to work. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you, rapid fast, and whatever's your answer, that's your answer.
I'm bad at these. Knee jerk is always so awkward. Here we go.
It's going to be awesome, though. So let's put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And here
No.
we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Liar, liar.
Let's go. Sonic or Mario?
Mario.
Favorite color?
Yellow.
PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Favorite submission?
Cattle mutilation, baby.
TikTok or IG?
IG.
Favorite podcast?
Ooh, this is so hard. I'm listening to like 5 different podcasts right now. Oh my gosh. You know, Bill Burr has a podcast, comedian Bill Burr, and he is so funny. His show is funny too. F is for family. He's got okay, I'm sorry. Good.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm all 100% about this because I have listened to Bill Burr's podcast and I definitely love Bill Burr. So
yes.
I'm on track with you.
Yeah, he's so funny just as his whole thing, like his TV show is funny, his stand-up is like hilarious. I like Bill Burr a lot.
All right. Well, nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Ooh. Have you talked to Suge yet?
No, he's definitely on the list of people I want to bring on the show though.
Yeah, hit up Suge. He has even more. He's so good for he's just good for little I can't even describe it to you, but he's very much reflective and always has a good word. Whenever we chat, it's just such good energy and good words exchange. So I think you'd have a really good conversation with him for sure.
Oh, definitely. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person that comes on this podcast. Favorite curse word?
Not favorite curse word. You know what? I actually, now that I actually like the word bitch. It's the best because you can kind of say it on TV sometimes and it's still a curse word. It's kind of like the best curse word. It's pretty offensive too. To be able to say it on TV sometimes. You can slide a bitch in there sometimes.
Well, it's weird because now, and WWE, all the female wrestlers just let it loose. I'm it's cool, but it's only cool if you're doing every once in a while, effectively.
Yeah.
But true. All of a sudden you just see someone I am that bitch. I am this bitch. I'm yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the common word.
Yeah.
Common word. I get thrown off when people are shit. I'm wait, you can say it on TV still? That's a thing?
Oof. I haven't heard any shit. So maybe damn or ass. Those are pretty straightforward. I like bitch though.
Yeah, bitch is definitely a good one. I like that too. Well, those are all my questions. So Trish, the last thing I have to ask is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Yes. So online, you can find me at Trish Adora 202. That's on IG. That's on Twitter. That's on lots of stuff. And if you just so happen to be in the Pennsylvania area on Saturday, April 10th, I'll be wrestling for Enjoy Wrestling. That's going to be pretty dope. It's going to be inside Mr. Small's Cafe out in Millville, Pennsylvania. It's going to be fun. I'm going to get to wrestle Alec Price. It's going to be a first-time matchup. That's going to be kind of crazy, very much a styles clash, So am I going to ground the high flyer? We'll see. We'll see. Also, I'll be wrestling that Sunday, April 10th, for Combat Zone Wrestling. So they're doing a little bit of just a rehash overall. And they tagged me in, and I'm happy to help for a little while. I will be wrestling Karen Bam Bam. That's going to be a totally different style of match. So it's throwing somebody around one night, then getting thrown around the next night. So that should be very, very interesting. So if you're in Maryland, if you're in the DMV area and you want to come hang out on Sunday, I'm hoping I see you there. There'll be tickets at the door for both of those events in Pennsylvania and in Maryland. So,
well, there you have it. She gave you all the handles. You guys know where to find her. You guys know where to find her at her events. So here's what we got to do. It's the best part of a wrestling match. We got to take it home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller. That's right, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering. And you see her right next to me. She's right there. She is the Afro punk, the true queen. Charlotte, move over. No one, just move over, okay? It is Trish Adora, so you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you just wait for this episode to end. You wait for that outro, and you choose another episode to listen to.
yes.
Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want you to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3 Count _ pod. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm / the 3 Count podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count podcast also has merchandise. Oh, at prowrestlingtees.com / the 3 Count pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So, show us some support, please.